If you want to check out the whole show, hit the link here at the bottom of the screen, available exclusively on odds.com. But most importantly, get paid in full. We move on to 7 p.m. Eastern, the Boca Raton Bowl. UFC Knights 6-3 on the season versus number 16 BYU Cougars 10-1 on the season. FAU Stadium, Boca Raton, Florida. After losing at home 36-33 to then number 7th ranked Cincinnati in a very tight November 21st loss, they came back and won at USF. We're talking about UCF here. They came back and won at USF 58-46 in a sloppy affair. Sophomore quarterback Dylan Gabriel was excellent this year. He threw for 3,353 yards, 30 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Now we have the issues for UCF. And let's just see what we are dealing with quickly here from an odds perspective. It opened at 4.5. It's now 6.5 right across the board. And from a total perspective, it opened at 70. It's shot up to 75. So Dylan Gabriel was excellent. Their star receiver, Marlon Williams, he caught for 1,039 yards, 10 touchdowns. He's opted to sit out this game, prepare for the NFL draft. So their star receiver, gone. Jalen Robinson will become the number 1 target. He had a very good year. Caught for 935 yards, 5 touchdowns. They have a 2-headed monster at running back with Greg McCray, 131 carries, 681 yards, 9 touchdowns, and Otis Anderson, 614 yards and 4 touchdowns. UCF put up 44.3 points and 585.6 yards of offense a game. It was their defense that was the issue. Their defense was suspect. They allowed 473.7 yards and 31.4 points per game. And it was the November 4th traffic stop that was the turning point in this defense falling apart. 4 key members of this UCF defense: junior defensive end Randy Carlton, redshirt senior defensive tackle Kenny Turnier, redshirt senior linebacker Eric Mitchell, defensive back Antoine Collier. And it was Antoine Collier who got arrested in the traffic stop. Officers smelled cannabis inside the car. That wasn't the problem. The problem was they found a backpack on the passenger side floorboard with a loaded AR-15 semi-automatic rifle with a magazine inserted and a Glock pistol with an extended magazine. 4 players were kicked off the team, and their defense is so vulnerable. They were not very good to begin with, and now then they became just worse. BYU coming off a strong season, just a 22-17 loss, and now 12th-ranked Coastal Carolina on the resume. Bounced back from that loss to defeat San Diego State at home 28-14. Outscored their opponents this year by an average of 28.4 points per game. Gained 510.1 yards per game while only allowing 309.5. Junior quarterback Zach Wilson was very good, 3,267 yards passing, 30 TDs, 3 interceptions. And then you have running back Tyler Algier, ran 131 times for 957 yards, 12 touchdowns. He's listed as probable. He has an illness that's not COVID, but he has an illness. He's expected to suit up. Dax Milne caught 63 passes for 1,118 yards, 8 touchdowns. Wide receiver Gunnar Romney, who caught 38 passes for 755 yards, 2 touchdowns, is in concussion protocol, but he's listed as probable. With that all being said, I think that the defense is the issue. UCF's defense is bad. BYU has a lot to play for here because of that that stinging loss when they were 3 or 4 yards away from winning, or 2 yards away from winning that game against Coastal Carolina. I want BYU. I think they win by more than a touchdown. But let's hear what the Bigg Ragoo has to say about UCF, a team he knows very well. So let's start with Bigg Ragoo, UCF, BYU.
Yeah, man. It's a head-scratcher, too. When I first seen the number, I was like, man, that looks awful low for a team that's a men. These guys are men, basically. You know, these are big boys on BYU. They're not to be taken lightly, no matter when you play them. And they played a game and a half, like you said, at Coastal. That game alone just kind of, was a big eye opener. It's kind of been, it was kind of be expected, that type of game for that type of setup. But this one here, man, I'm like, and initially I thought over, but I kind of missed the boat on that, and it's crept way up to 75 now. My concern is for UCF is I don't have a question about them scoring points because, just the way that Heupel runs that offense with Gabriel. And they got weapons all over the field. If they're down a receiver, they got next up over there. So not so much. But this BYU defense is going to be a little concerning for me to even look remotely to try to get to that total. And that was my initial play to get involved with this game here. But I tend to agree with you. I would probably look to either pay, if I'm going to put my money up, it'd have to be BYU or pass here, because I don't see how UCF can match up physically with these guys. They're going to have to beat them on speed, and that they're going to come at them with pace without question. But that's the only shot they have to maybe late in the game. If they try to hang in there, late third, early fourth quarter, and they've ran 60 plus plays, and they're trying to turn to that 70, 75, try to get up to 80. Possibly BYU is going to want to grind them down. If UCF doesn't have success moving the ball and converting third downs and making the occasional big play on defense, which, they're not known for their defense, but they do make plays, believe it or not. They do make some key plays on defense, to stall drives every now and then. That's the only shot they're going to have. Otherwise, it's going to be I won't say a long day, but a long grinding day for UCF. But they're going to put points up. I don't think they're going to. I think their team total was, last time I looked, was around 30, 31, 32, somewhere there. And then BYU was or might have been 33. Can you look those up, Jim?
I'm looking them up right now. Yeah.
Here. Let's figure something
BYU
out.
is in the high.
Is it 41?
High 30s.
Yeah.
The team props have BYU right now at 41.5.
Yeah, 41.
Juice to the over, and UCF at 33.5. Juice to the over.
And it's only a 4-point number?
Sorry, say that again.
What's the line on the game right now?
It's moved from 4.5 to 6.5.
6.5. Okay. Well, see, both. I think you would, if you can stay under 7, BYU would be the play for me. So I'm going to make it official. I'm going to take BYU, locking it now, minus 6.5.
That makes a ton of sense to me. We can get minus 105 at BetMGM, minus 6.5 at minus 105 at BetMGM. Let's go over to John Ryan. John, here we go. Game 2 of our show here. Boca Raton Bowl, tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern, UCF BYU.
I like the under in this game quite a bit. And what did you say it was, 71.5?
No, it's shot all the way up to 75.
Way up.
All right, well, then when I see that.
Year to year.
Yeah, that's I never want to say there's free money, because that's never a good thing to say on a live show. And it's never good to say that there's value in the line either. But this line's nuts. BYU has tremendous size, as Bigg Ragoo was saying. I mean, they have a size advantage here that's going to be pretty evident, even if you're seeing the game on TV. And their defense, I think, second in the nation in scoring. But they didn't play that tough a schedule. Actually, by comparison, they played opponents that matched the opponents in Nevada, right to the 10th of a percent. So with that said, some of these numbers get a little bit skewed, and you got to always look at these team metrics based on strength of schedule. But in this game, the under is really popping up on my radar here. BYU 43-17 to the under, facing good rushing teams, averaging 200 or more rushing yards per game in games played since 2000. 36-14 under, facing good rushing teams, averaging better than 4.75 yards per rush since 2000. 30-12, even better, to the under, facing excellent offensive teams, averaging 6.5 yards per play in games they've played since 2000. So you start getting these numbers here. And, BYU, way back in the day when that guy that played for the Chicago Bears was their quarterback, they had some totals that were approaching 70, but I don't think BYU's been in too many of those types of affairs of late. On the system side, and then I'll pass the baton. This one is, I don't want to give you that one. That one's okay. Play under the total. This one has hit 67% the last 10 seasons. Only one losing season among the 10. You're going to play under with any team where the total is greater or equal to 70. In a game involving two mistake-free teams, and by that I mean averaging 1.25 or fewer turnovers per game, and that's all there is to it.
Hey, if I told you, John, if I told you that BYU is averaging more yards per play on the rush and the pass, would you believe that?
They're averaging more yards
Yeah.
per
They're
rush than per
7.5
pass.
yards a rush. And
Yeah.
5.2 yards per rush and 10.4 per pass. Where UCF is 4.5, 4.8, 9.1.
Yeah, I mean
they just don't run as many plays.
That's right. I was just going to look that up for us. In the ground attack, UCF ranks 17th in rushes per game, running 45 rushing plays per game, rushing yards per game, 213, ranking 25th. BYU ranks 102nd, 35 rushing plays per game, and 49th in rushing yards per game. So your point is exactly right.
Very, very interesting spot, John. And you can get it under 75 at minus 105. You know, that I think this is too high, but I'm still hesitant. But I like what I might add this on. Let's get to DJ Big Boss here. BYU 6.5-point favorites, total at 75. Boss, what's your move?
This was a weird game for me. Initially going into the game, I really liked the UCF going into Boca Raton. Ain't that how you say it, Big Ragoo?
That's pretty darn close. Boca Raton.
Boca Raton, right there in the rat's mouth, right? But after looking at it further, you know, BYU has defense. These two teams are fairly similar on the offensive side of the ball, but on the defense side, that's where they differ a lot. And BYU's defense is way better than UCF defense overall. But the funny thing that I see in it is a bowl experience. The coach over here has been pretty good at BYU. He's 2-1 in the bowl games, and the guy over here at UCF, however you say his last name, Heifel. There you go. Heifel, he's doing pretty good too himself. So going into the bowl game, they look good. But the one thing that I've seen, and this is just to be contrarian on this one, but and I'm gonna let this be the straw that broke the camel's back, and that's that BYU does not do well in bowl games in big cities like Vegas, Florida, places like that. And that can mean a lot in bowl games, how teams travel. You got to think where these guys are coming from. And then they go places like Vegas, they go places like LA, they go places like Florida, and it has an impact on them. But the only odd factor about that is COVID-19, and they can't really do all that. But they go into Florida, ain't no telling what they could do. So
down in South Florida, they're locked down over there.
Yeah, for the sake of all Big Ragoo's real people over there in Florida who would never let this game go without taking UCF, I'm gonna take UCF plus the points.
All right, we'll give you the minus 105 that I quoted from BetMGM was actually for UCF. The best line for Ragoo and I was a minus 109 at DraftKings. The best line for Big Boss is UCF plus 6.5.
And don't forget, it's only because BYU does not play bowl games in big cities well.
It's an angle.
I think that if I'm close to moving on the under with John. Ragoo, you saw the under go up the total go up to 75. At 75, if you had a free $500 bet to make on the total, what would you go, over or under?
No, I'd be on the under. It's funny because I think that one, I'm not going to say it's going to be way under, but, you know, I don't want to use that V word because I hate it too. But I'm just saying sometimes when you get away from a number, you know, that's when you can – that would have been a pretty good little middle opportunity there, I think. I think it's going to be close, but I don't think it's going to get up over 70. I think it'd probably be in the mid to high 60s. Like middle high 60s, like 66, 67, somewhere in that range.
I'm going to double up on this game. I'm also going to move on the under. Take away the best receiver on UCF. You put UCF in a situation where you can then focus, because one of the reasons why this offense was able to look so good through the air is that you couldn't just focus on Marlon Williams. You also had Jalen Robinson to worry about. Now you just focus on Jalen Robinson. So we have UCF plus 6.5 for Big Boss at BetMGM. And I'm going to make the same move as John Ryan, under 75 minus 105 at PointsBet. This has just gone too high.